talk about how bad COVID would have been if they had Terminator machines. You didn't have your mask on. You couldn't even appeal to the empathy of the person who knew how insane it all was. As soon as the machines control the policing, it's absolutely over. And we're not that far away.
Good morning. We are bringing to you today's most important news from around the world. Despite all the extraordinary efforts, the government and health system workers are still struggling to bend the curve of growing cases caused by the latest variant of the virus. Citizens are now required to wear masks when they step out to the balconies of their isolation facilities and take them off only when they are back to the safety of their rooms. Stay compliant. Stay isolated. Stay safe. And now, on to other news. As the whole planet went on the righteous crusade against climate change and global warming, we are excited to spread the word about another successful project. As science tells us, during the night, plants release CO2 into the atmosphere. CO2 is a powerful greenhouse gas that dramatically contributes to global warming. But don't worry. Almost 100,000 square miles of South American rainforest has been cleared, and this area is used to construct one of the largest solar panel fields in the world that will provide us with a tremendous amount of clean energy. We will keep fighting the deadly forests and defeat climate change. That is all for today.
In 2006, Al Gore gained widespread attention for his documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. This documentary revealed to the world the threat of global warming. What they would like you to believe is that this film focused on the science behind climate change, its potential consequences, and the urgent need for global action. The climate change narrative is backed by the World Economic Forum. This group is made up of unelected bureaucrats who operate behind the scenes. And this same group of people are unified in a multitude of agendas that aren't mentioned on the news or by the media. They've had a tremendous influence when it comes to the wars we've fought, the world economy, and politics. And when running for office, they never tell you their true intentions. Some say that science is not science unless it is scrutinized, but the theory of global warming is not allowed to be challenged. It's delivered to us as an indisputable fact.
We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day, and the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs, and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts.
No, you are
The Paris Agreement ended up being a historic agreement. The targets that have been set in Paris are nowhere near enough for what the scientists tell us we have to do eventually to solve this problem. And I think that the public is starting to realize the science, in part because it's indisputable.
Thousands of television programs have been produced blindly accepting the theory.
Hey, I'm Cal Penn, and this is Getting Warmer. And I genuinely think it's possible for humanity to pull together and avoid the worst impacts of climate change.
And about the icebergs and about the rising sea level. Yeah, we can mention that right along the way. I said, because it's true.
We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world, should know it.
A huge portion of the world's population lives near oceans.
Mm-hmm.
If they start moving, then you start seeing scarce resources, the subject to competition between populations.
Mm-hmm. Social media companies have removed millions of posts that question the narrative. For example, Facebook has gone on assault with their sketchy fact checkers, who have been wrong on more occasions than right. Many of us are aware of this agenda of fear and division.
As the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
But who are these people that are targeted for these propaganda campaigns, and why?
My groceries went by. That's the closest thing.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Ultimately, if you think about all the youth that everybody's mentioned here in Africa, if everybody's raising living standards to the point where everybody's got a car and everybody's got air conditioning and everybody's got a big house, the planet will boil over.
The young, impressionable mind has always been a target for propaganda campaigns.
What is worth more, art or life?
Our universities have become indoctrination camps for Marxist propaganda, namely the characteristics of us versus them mentality.
And the youth led the revolution in China because Mao did this. Identity politics through the children in the schools. This should feel very uncomfortable to you, because here we have, at least in the United States, we tell our children being white is bad. Being white is oppressive. You automatically hurt people of other races by your very existence. But by the way, if you become queer, we'll celebrate you.
These mentalities of division turn students against not only their parents, but traditional values.
I explained to you trans ideology and the role it plays in communism and socialism. The role it plays is alienation. They feel like nobody gets them. They even feel like their parents don't get them. That wedge works for communists. If you don't have the kids, you don't have the communists. It creates and furthers the sense of alienation. Your union teacher who's a ward of the state, they get it. Oh, by the way, they have the pride flag in their classroom. Come to us, don't tell your parents.
Many professors are political activists who teach passionately from a narrative that has been pushed since Marxists began having an influence on American culture.
What did he see peering back at him? He saw peering back what he hated in himself, and he was 10 years old. And I said, what has happened to this little boy that he cannot withstand a gaze, that he so hates the reflection in the mirror? That is post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Black Americans were approached by Marxists and communists during the Civil Rights era.
Woke is Marxism, evolved to attack the West. If you don't understand that, you will not act correctly. You will not cure it.
After Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society, the black family began to divide, with black women declaring that they no longer needed a man. This movement was something we've never witnessed before, and it was the exact inversion of what the black community was known for, even during the times of slavery. And while black women were in this strife of self-isolation, cultural Marxists began their heavy assault using imagery and song.
He's adopted these professors from Germany, and Herbert Marcuse, writing in the 1960s, said extremely clearly, this writing in 1969, not only did he say capitalism delivers the goods, gives people a good life, makes them wealthy and comfortable and happy. He also said that the working class is no longer going to be the base of the revolution because of these things, which opens up the ability for Marxists who are seeking power to make friends with the corporations. Because the working class is irrelevant. He said the energy is somewhere else. He said it's in the racial minorities, the sexual minorities, the feminists, the outsiders. And so what did they do? Well, all they had studied for 30 years was what they called the culture industry, an industry that commodifies and packages culture and sells it back to people. Empty, abstract now.
If you ain't gay and you ain't a weirdo, what are you? I had the operation. I had a sex change.
And so what, of course, did they do? They seized the means of production of the culture industry, because that's what they do. And so they started to transform the culture industry to sell racial, sexual, gender, sexuality-based, as though that were genuine culture.
Your weekly food ration has arrived.
Mask up your nose.
The Godfather movie is banned from our database for misrepresentation and stereotypization of the Italian community. Pulp Fiction movie is banned from our database for excessive violence and racist content. The movie 1984 never existed.